Welcome to our webinar, which will take you through the four main products within our Swift Suite range. These products include Swift Path, Swift Dedupe, Swift Cleanse, and finally Swift Sort. Before we go into the live demos themselves, what we'll do is show you the interfaces and the parameters and the functionality with each of the four products. So first of all, let's have a look at Swift Path. Within Swift Path, you can append a delivery point suffix, you can validate and enhance postcodes, you can enhance addresses to meet Royal Mail Path standards, you can add the unique delivery point reference number or UDPRN, you can retain multi-residency information, you can proper case the contact name fields, create a salutation, and finally you can check for salacious words in the name and address. In Swift Dedupe, you have the ability to use single or multi-file processing. There is no limit to how many files or records you can have within your dedupe. A range of different match levels, so individual through to one per household. Flexibility on forename matching, so you can make it very strict or loosen it off a little depending on what your requirements are. You can incorporate customer stop lists, so if your customer provides you with a suppression file of their own, then you can incorporate that into your dedupe process. There are a range of output options depending on whether you're wanting to produce a mailing file or a single customer view, for example. And finally, it's lightning quick. Multi-million records per hour can be processed through the Swift Dedupe engine. Swift Cleanse uses the power of our Swift Core platform. We have a product called Swift Core, which sits on a Microsoft Azure platform in the cloud, hosts all of the data in the cloud and uses that engine to do the matching. You can access it via Swift Cleanse, which we'll show you shortly, or indeed you can access it via a RESTful API, which if you want more information about, please contact the sales team and they can take you through that. We host over 400 million suppression and home mover records in the cloud. You can run a data health check at no cost. You can suppress or indeed permanently flag your data. You can append new address and new occupier data and tailor the hierarchy to suit your needs. Finally, Swift Sort. It incorporates Royal Mail and all of the downstream access providers, so Whistle, UK Mail, Secured Mail and City Post. It's fully Mailmark compliant, as you would expect. It includes advertising, business and publishing mail, and recently we've added subscription mail and partially addressed mail. You can append the delivery point suffix, so if you haven't passed your data through Path to append the DPS, you can do so in the Swift Sort engine. Generate the 2D Mailmark barcode, all three variations on that, and in fact the 4-state one is also included. You can inject add mail seeds automatically. As far as all products are concerned, they can be launched via command line for automation purposes. You can integrate into Inspire or Pres Connect workflows, again for automation. Multiple command line switches for total control, so you can change those as and when required without having to load the application itself. Project parameter files can be created for reuse, and of course file format and layout of parameters files can also be used for reuse for regular supplied data. So there are four products, and we'll now go into the live stage where I'll show you using each of these in turn. So first of all, let's take you through Swift Path. So the first thing to do is import a file. So we'll go to our data import folder and choose Demo B. Okay, at this stage you can either refer to your library if you've received this data before and choose a parameters file. So we've got one here pre-set up. Or I'll take you through the wizard for importing a file. So first thing to do is to click on the magic wand, which opens the wizard, and we can then go through step by step, making sure that we assign the field names and everything else. So the first thing to do is confirm that it's a delimited file, which it is, so we can click next, move on to the next stage, and here you can see that it's confirming it's a pipe delimited file and it has a double quote field boundary, so that's all good as well. And this stage is where you allocate or assign field names. So as you can see, the first row of data in our file is field headers. That means that we can use those by clicking on the Use Data button here. That then moves them across to the left-hand side under our field name section, and something like N is already correctly assigned, as is A1, A2 and A3. But the town we need to change to F4, and to do this you can use your function keys at the top of your keyboard. So F4, F5 and F6. Click Next, and now we need to link those fields to the official fields on the right hand side, and that's done quickly and easily by mapping all official address fields with that button. As you can see, we've got the name mapped and we've got the address line 1 to 6 which match our input fields. Click Next, click Finish, and we're ready to go. Move on to the next stage, which is where you decide which parameters you want to adopt during your PAF process. So as you can see, we've got postcode enhancement already defaulted on, and address enhancement, including a few address choices such as strict top address matching, retain house names, retain flats, and include counties but only retain if supplied. Up here we have an option for names, so we could split out joint names, for example. So where you do have a joint name, you'll get 2 records on the output file. However, we're going to just go with single names, and we're going to use a full name field for output rather than, as you see on the drop down again, you've got things such as initials or just the first initial or drop 4 names altogether. So click Next, and now we need to decide what we want to output. So first thing we need to do, however, is put in our output file name. Let's type in that first PAF as our output file name. Client, that first bank. Project is PAF, and then you would enter a project ID or job number. So first of all, let's decide what fields we want to output. Well, maybe it's sensible to put the name at the top. So if we click on the name radio button, we can then choose full burst name and add that to our output. The next one might be the address, so we'll go there, and because we've been through the PAF matching engine, obviously we want to choose the enhanced address line. So select all of those and output those. We might also want a flag to say did it match PAF, and of course you might also want something such as the UDPRN. Now if we flick back to the name, here you might also want the salutation. So the Swift PAF module, which has evolved into more than just PAF, also generates a salutation, so we can choose that for output as well. Okay, there we go. Click Next and we can run. Okay, so it feeds the records into the sorter, the first thing, and the window down at the bottom displays the current status of the progress of our processing. So at the moment it's actually doing the matching inside the PAF engine, so there'll be a pause in the information being displayed at this stage. While that's happening, on the right hand window, these are all the parameters that you set up during the previous 2 tabs, and you can check those just by scrolling down, making sure that you've got all the parameters set up exactly as you required. Okay, the processing is as mentioned underway. And as soon as it finishes, it will start scrolling through saying that it's outputting the 10,000 records. And there we go. 10,000 records output, creating the stats file, completed OK. Okay, so if I just shrink that window back down, we can have a look at the report. So there's the PAF report, project details at the top, who prepared it, what options we chose, and then finally the PAF processing statistics themselves. So what was the input volume, were there any overseas records, were any records changed, how many were unchanged, were postcodes added, modified, etc. Were there any BFPO records, and finally down the bottom we have some name stats, which tells you that we've got 9,487 single names, 191 joint names, 2 records with no name, and 320 records where we couldn't determine what the name parts were. So it might have just been a single word in there or something of that nature. And we have 11 potential obscene words within the name. So that's the report. And if we look at the output file, so we've got natfirstpath.txt is our output file. And in here you can see we've got path fields at the top that we selected for output, including our flag to say Swift Path Full Match. We've also got the UDPRN, and we've also got our salutation at the end as well. And if we look at the first record, you can see there's the flag to say yes, it fully matched. Here's the UDPRN, and here is our salutation. Okay, so that's path. Let's move on to dedupe. Okay, the initial input UI is identical to the path one, so all we need to do is go and grab our data file. We'll choose Demob again. Go to our library this time and select our pre-saved parameters file, demob.xml. Open that and we've got the thumbs up, which means we're ready to move forward to the next stage. The next stage being the parameters of our dedupe. So what do we want to set? Is it individual, family or address level? We'll leave it at individual. Our forename matching, do we want to make that ultra strict or all the way through to loose? I think moderate is probably a good default, but obviously you can tailor that to suit your needs. Under extra criteria, you have the choice of doing just inters if you've got multiple files, which will only look for duplicates across files and not within them, or just intras, which will only look for duplicates within each of your files and not across them. And we also have suppress only. So you can import a client supplied suppression or stop list, and then you can decide if you want to suppress only in that it won't look for duplicates within your client file, it will only look for records that match against your client stop list. And under output, you can decide, looking at the processing help on the right hand side, you can decide which is your favorite method of output. If you're creating a mailing file, for example, you might go to option C, which is my default, where the uniques and the selects are all together in a single file with the duplicates separated out. But it really depends on what you're looking to achieve. So click next once you're happy with that. Decide again on the output. So we'll go with our source fields this time, select all of those, and under system you might want to choose count, for example, how many records did any particular record match against. If it's a pair, it will be 1, of course. If it's 3 in the group, it will be 2. And there's also a group ID, which is quite useful if you're looking to merge data together where you've matched them within the dedupe process. Enter our output file again, our client details, our project, finally our job number. Okay, click next, click run. And as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, dedupe is lightning quick, multi-million records per hour, and our small file of 10,000 records is all over and done with in a matter of seconds. So the first thing you might want to do is look at the matches. So click on View Matches. That will then show them in this window, and you can flick through them, just making sure that you're happy with what's happened during that dedupe process. You can look at the report, which just tells you how many matches were found during that process. And then look at the output. So in here we've got our output file, 2 output files. We've got the drops and the retained. So the drops will be all those that matched against any records, and the retained records are those that caused those records to be dropped. So the retained file will be a nice clean mailing file ready to go. Okay. Our next one is Swift Cleanse. Now again, mentioned in the early part of the presentation, Swift Cleanse uses the power of Swift Core. Swift Core is a data processing platform in the cloud, sits on a Microsoft Azure platform, hosts all of the suppression and home mover records, and Swift Cleanse is a user interface into that. If you are interested in looking at the Swift Core API to perhaps create your own interface and control what happens via the API, then please get in touch with our sales team and they can talk to you about that. Okay, so let's once again import some data, and we'll choose our demo data with 11,000 records. Select our library file, get the thumbs up, and move forward. Okay, the parameters tab consists of, across the top, if all you wanted to do was a health check, then check that box, run against the selected files down here, and you'll just get a report back telling you what the results of that process was. So it doesn't cost you anything, it's purely a health check, generates a report which you can then share with your client. Alternatively, if you're doing a live production job, then you can either run a suppress, which will only return records that didn't match to anything, or a flag, which will return both the records that didn't match and, of course, those records that did match against whichever files you selected. And the match level, you can tailor the full name matching again from either loose all the way up to ultra strict or even surname only. So we're going to go with individual moderate, and we're all set. Okay, so what do we want to match against? You have three sections. You have the relocation files, so gas, new occupier, new address, Experian absolute contacts, NCOA update, and purify. You have all the deceased files in the middle, and you have the gone away files on the right hand side plus MPS. So what we're going to do is we'll match against TBR and mortar screen. They're selected on the right hand side. You can change the priority. You can move mortar screen to the top, for example, if you want records to match mortar screen first and then TBR. It's entirely up to you. Click next. Again, click our output. So these are our original source fields, so we'll have all of those. And under system, we might want if you're doing a flag, of course, it's quite important to know which records matched. So you'd have this suppress ID field here. Select that, and that will tell you which records matched. Enter our details here again for the output file, client name, and our job number, and run. Okay, so as Swift Cleanse runs, the first thing it does is it chunks the data up into the cloud, into the Swift core engine, and it does it in batches of 2,000 records, fully encrypted, all approved by NCC Group for Data and IT Security, which we can share those details with you if required. So at the moment it's posted 6 chunks in 15 seconds. Now as it runs on the right hand side in this panel here, it will display a little bit of information about its progress along with the processing and audit information down the bottom. Okay, so it's now into the matching part of the process. And as you see here, it's now downloaded 1 chunk and is reporting that it's found 47 records to match against our chosen suppression files and leaving 1,953 net records at this stage. Okay, so again, here we're waiting for 5 more chunks from Swift Cleanse. Okay, more matches, 178 now, with 6822 net. Okay, that's finished. Now it's returned all chunks and it's completed successfully. And down the bottom you can see it says MILM 196. That code is Millennium Mortar Screen, and REAT, which is the red group TBR, 83. So that's our match results. So let's have a look at the report. Okay, a few details at the top again, and then into our results. So mortar screen 196, the bereavement register 83, totaling 279. Okay, and the output data, if we look at that, if we look at the output file, on here you can see our field names at the top, and then at the end of the first record you can see there's that REAT code repeated. So that's red group TBR. So this record matched against TBR, the second one did, the third one matched against mortar screen Millennium, or Millennium Mortar Screen. Okay, so those matched records 296 will all appear at the top of this file, and then if you scroll down you'll get to the records that didn't match. Here we go, this is the first record here that didn't match against anything at all. Okay, and that will be the same repeated throughout the rest of the file. Okay, so there's your records back, flagged as appropriate, which you can then upload and flag to your database. Okay, so that's Swift Cleanse. And finally, we'll take a look at Swift Sort. Now, Swift Sort is a mature product, been out in the market for 3, 4, maybe 5 years now. Is in use by many of our clients, either for automation purposes or as a one-off sort using the interface. So again, get some data. We'll choose Demo B again. That would choose Demo B DPS, which has a built-in DPS field already assigned. Go to our library, select the appropriate parameters file, and again, move forward. Okay, so what parameters do we want to set for our sortation? Now, on the left-hand side, you can see there's a wizard. So starting at the top, we have it predefined or defaulted to letter. Now, if your particular sort is not a letter or your item is not a letter, you can change it at this point, okay, and choose letter A3 parcel or parcel. So we'll leave it as letter, and then we'll work our way through the other steps in the wizard. Second one being, what's the carrier? Is it Royal Mail or one of the downstream access providers? We'll stick with Royal Mail. Is it business, advertising mail, etc.? Is it standard, entry level, or intermediate sustainability? Is it economy, second class, or first class? Let's choose economy. And then we'll choose the mail mark option. And how do we output? Into bags, trays, or bundles. Okay, so that's all set. So a few other things we need to do. First of all, the item weight. Let's make that 60 grams. A mailing cell reference, so you know exactly what sort this is relating to. Is it an 86-way sort or the new 48-way? And are we going to opt in or out of JIC? We'll choose to opt out at this stage. And now we're down to the mail mark information at the bottom. So the first thing you would need to do is go and select the correct supply chain ID, which you can do by clicking on this Browse button here. That then opens our list of supply chains, and we can choose the appropriate one, click OK, and that then fills in the other details such as owner, payer, and producer. Now, as you're probably aware, with a 2D barcode, you can add additional information into that barcode. And to do that, you click on the 2D barcode button, and that opens up this form. First thing to do is choose your required barcode, which can be defaulted. Mine's to 7, but most people would use the format 29, and that allows you 25 characters. So in this area here under text, you can enter some fixed text that you might want to output within the barcode. So again, I'll use cell 1 for that. Click on the plus button, and that adds it to the free text area of our 2D barcode. Now we can add a client field, for example, the account number you might want to add. So click that button there. We've now got the cell 1 free text in there and the account number variable text coming from our input file. Click OK, click Next, and now decide what output you want. So all of our original fields, we'll have those. Under System, obviously we want the 2D barcode, so we've highlighted it there for you so it's easy to find. Double click, and then you might want maybe the output sequence number as well, and that's everything selected, ready for output. Output file again, that first sorted, client details, project, and of course our job number. Click Next, and we can run. Again, progress on the bottom window, parameters on the right hand window, so you can have a quick flick through again. Okay, and that's finished. So the first thing maybe to look at will be the sort report, and that provides you all the parameters, all the settings that you used here. So cell 1 is the mail cell reference, low mail mark economy, advertising mail, so on and so forth. And then down the bottom, the level of DPS append, matched 99.98%, and then the information relating to the actual SSC codes, the selection codes on the listing at the bottom. Okay. and our output file. So there's our sorted file, that first sorted.csv. And if we go to the mailing house folder, we can see in there we've got the bag file and the line listing. And if we go to the mailmark folder, in there we've got the appropriate e-manifest, which contains all the information that can then be uploaded through Gemma to complete the process. Okay, so that completes the live demos of the 4 Swift solutions. So thank you very much for watching. If you require any information about any of those products or indeed anything else, please email me on mark.dobson@softwarebureau.com or give me a buzz on 0870 735 1322 and we can arrange for one of the commercial team to get in touch. Thank you very much for watching.